100 episodes, we've probably done 100,000 bajillion wardrobe changes.
It's hard to imagine even who these characters are without thinking about how they express themselves through their clothing.
Every episode has been just a brilliant moment of fashion and drama and fun, and I just think it's really quite amazing and spectacular to be here.
Fashion has played a really big role in the long-term success of the show.
It was a big element used to communicate the world that we were in.
There are looks you see on the show that you then see out in the world, and you're never quite sure, you know, was the show prescient and they knew it was coming, or did the show create it?
There was a front-page New York Times article about the clothes on our show and what a significant impact it had made on sales of clothes by the vendors who had participated in our show till that point.
It started really in the notion of character and figuring out how we could use clothing to express who these people were.
How am I to become an icon of style and taste if I can only wear a burqa?
It's really hard to imagine who Blair Waldorf is without thinking about her headbands or her shoe collection or, you know, her sort of Audrey Hepburn-inspired vintage outfits, or Serena without thinking of her kind of boho chic, sexy dresses and her great accessories.
It's been a great adventure to kind of see how the fashion has grown and how much we have explored and kind of started setting trends in our own way.
All of the characters' wardrobe has evolved over 5 years, just if nothing more than to convey that they've matured, they've grown up, they're not in high school, they're in the real world, they're more confident.
When they were in high school, they sort of wore their high school outfits, and then, you know, what I always loved about Serena was hers was always a little bit sexier, a little bit more askew, you know?
Serena started, I think, a little bit more with kind of an overt sexual look.
One of my favorite Serena couture gown moments is the Ralph Lauren yellow floral dress that she wore to Lillian Bartbass's wedding.
I really love that cotillion dress of Serena's from season 1, which made a reappearance at the end of season 4. Just that gold on her, you know, Blake sparkles always, and just have sparkle on top of sparkle. It was like, you know, staring into the sun.
Serena's maid of honor dress in the wedding is probably my favorite look that I've ever seen her in. She's just the color with her skin tone and the way that it fits her absolutely perfectly. One of the great things that Eric is kind of a savant about is knowing what's the new thing. So being ahead of the statement necklace, and then knowing, oh no, the statement necklace is going away. It's going to be all about the statement bracelet. And Serena, for sure, has been, I feel, sort of the person who carries that on our show.
You know, Serena's wearing lots of necklaces in season 5. It's kind of her statement piece. And we've toned down her clothing a little bit, so I think really we've amped up the jewels.
Her big chandelier earrings.
Where she ended up and where she is now, kind of taking herself very seriously and trying to be a professional and trying to work in Hollywood or trying to be a movie producer and, you know, being a little bit more covered up, but also having a lot of fun with it. So Blair Waldorf, you know, she started off as Queen Bee, reigning over Constance Billard.
Are those last season's Toy Brush flats?
The headbands, obviously, maybe they were there before, but of course, once Blair started wearing them and I was watching Blair wearing them all the time, I noticed them everywhere.
Jennifer Behr made most of Blair's headbands, and I think at the time headbands were not a phenomenon at all, and she was just kind of like going out on her own.
Eric was one of these people that was just born with style and born with an eye, and I feel like there was going to be something out there that he was going to attach it to and really be able to explode.
She was always, you know, on the Met steps in these beautiful capes, and I wanted to give her a very, like, regal, but also kind of a baby doll, you know, because there was almost a doll-like quality to her. She'd wear, you know, very cute flippy skirts, but then would wear, like, a beautiful cape, and tiara-type headbands.
Blair's minions would wear colored stockings or patterned stockings with open-toed shoes. That was just something that we felt like they would do.
My favorites is her debutante gown, because it's one of the first gowns that I actually got to design and have created here in the shop. So for me, it has, a very special place in my heart.
Blair has ditched her headbands. As Dan told her, there are no headbands in college.
When she grew out of that and was graduating, I think we found this different kind of Blair Waldorf that was much more structured.
I think my favorite Blair dress, up till now is the wedding dress.
It's very old worldly. It has this layer of lace on top of it and just kind of drapes, and it goes into this beautiful train. And there's tiny little handcrafted buttons that go all the way down the back, all the way down the train. And just little detailing that makes it feel so couture, but also has, like I said, that kind of old world feeling to it that makes sense for who Blair Waldorf is, becoming the Princess of Monaco.
This year, she's done some sort of Kate Middleton-esque fascinators and hats, which we've had a lot of fun with.
I wanted to keep that old Hollywood, kind of Audrey Hepburn, Jackie O inspired, feeling very Princess Grace, but also keep it very modern and, give it that Upper East Side Gossip Girl twist.
You're either in for the full ride or you're out.
Chuck Bass in the books was a little bit of a parody, a little bit of a joke. He literally had a monkey that dressed identically to him. So how to take something that was a little bit of a joke and translate it into something that would actually be aspirational and possibly trend-setting. So the idea that Chuck had this scarf and used that as a detail that we could sort of build off of and kind of create a persona for him.
The Chuck Bass scarf, I think, was really kind of a defining moment of, Chuck Bass was kind of leading a men's fashion revolution at that point.
All success comes at a price. The artist must stand alone to absorb the crowd, right?
One of the things that made me just love Ed Westwick forever and ever is in season 1, we had an episode where Chuck and Nate were playing basketball.
He was in a very interesting Chuck-like basketball getup, including the craziest shoes I'd ever seen in my entire life.
Because he was wearing a crazy tank top and sweatbands on his wrists and around his head. And the way that Ed just owned it and was just like, that's right, I'm wearing sweatbands and wristbands, and what are you gonna do about it? I'm Chuck Bass, just made me feel like we totally knew who that character was and that we could be really brave with whatever we put on him.
Let's not get carried away.
Chuck in the Hamptons also had really a great panorama of amazing beachwear, his, sitting by the pool in this little kind of James Bond bathing suit, this kind of boating knit, is a little knit red polo that had little sailboats all over it. He grew through kind of showing off, and went through bright blue suits and green suits and kind of went on this roller coaster of oh, I can wear whatever I want because I'm the richest boy in New York City, and I can swill bourbon and hang out with strippers and wear pink suits and no one's gonna say anything.
He had his Gordon Gekko suspenders and yellow tie phase, and now I think he's in a very classic phase. He's wearing a lot of gray. He still wears his signature purple, but a little bit of a more muted purple. He's been wearing these really nice Lanvin little boutonnieres.
This is going to be fun.
The first thing that comes to mind when I think of Nate is his school uniform, because that's kind of the quintessential teenage girl dream of that guy who's very handsome, and his hair is a little bit long, and his shirt's untucked, and his tie is askew.
Very preppy, not concerned with making a big splash with his wardrobe in the way that Chuck was, but you knew that everything he wore was very fine, very expensive.
One of the fun things we've been doing with Nate this year is putting him in more suits. He's got a job at The Spectator, and he's grown up a little bit.
I feel like it's been really fun to watch him sort of go from seeing sort of a lazy stoner with maybe an untucked shirt to sort of now in these suits to be very sort of commanding and regal.
Do I have game?
Oh, definitely.
Dan has sort of been the same all the way through. He is comfortable and hip, and part of that being hip is not even trying. It just is who he is.
A little bit of the Brooklyn hipster with his flannels and his jeans and his boots.
I think Dan will look fine whatever he wears.
We put Dan in a lot of interesting jackets the first couple seasons, and he always had his satchel. So there was this, on the one hand, kind of a hipster, but also having this sort of academic quality to him.
Dan's style has progressed a little bit. He's gotten a little bit more professional. There's some things going on in his life that are going to lead him to dress up a little bit more.
I always love when Dan has to go to an event and he wears a tuxedo or white tie. Penn looks so handsome when he's dressed up, and I love the idea of Dan Humphrey being this kind of scruffy guy who's sort of clinging to his identity as one thing, but he can't deny that when you clean the guy up and put him in a tuxedo, that he looks great.
Maybe in time you'll learn to love wearing this tie.
Part of Rufus's persona is that he was this rock star in the 90s, and I love when Rufus sort of trots out things from his closet.
What do you think?
So we've seen his leather jacket that Dan called his Fonzie jacket. He brings out his old Doc Martens every once in a while. And some of his outfits from season 1, he had a great cowboy shirt.
I think one of the pivotal changes in Rufus's storyline that affected his look is move to the Upper East Side. I think there was a Thanksgiving episode where I wore a really cool Ferragamo sweater with a flared collar and a clasp. That was really fun and perfect for Thanksgiving. But this Dior tux I'm wearing now is not shabby.
Speaking of Dan, Lily was right. That jacket is terrible.
Lily is one of my favorite characters in terms of the wardrobe, and I don't think that she gets the credit that she deserves.
A Lily dress is still very much a Lily dress, but you see her using new colors or a new silhouette or something different.
We're able to sort of work with Eric Damon and his amazing team and create something with today's fashion, make it sort of unique and fun.
I love the day dresses that she wears around the house. I think she looks beautiful at her wedding to Barb Bass, at her wedding to Rufus. Everyone looked great on that day, and Eric had just done a really incredible job with all the colors in terms of how he put everybody together.
Some of the jewelry, I think, really makes the clothes even more exciting.
She's so graceful. Like, that's the word that always comes to mind for me, for her, is that she can just sort of walk into a room and sort of float through it. And I feel like all of her clothes really sort of add to that. She really is like Grace Kelly.
One of the fun things about Gossip Girl is it's obviously about an anonymous online blogger, and the show has had a real impact with the online community.
It's pretty amazing that there are not only blogs that are dedicated to the characters or dedicated to the stories, but they're also dedicated to who wore what, or what people were wearing in the episode before, and they sort of go through every detail and how you can sort of find this at home in a different way, or you can find the designer version.
A lot of real estate on nymag.com and even some in the print issue is devoted to the show. It drives tons and tons of traffic, and compared to any other TV show, it's definitely probably getting some of the most attention.
I think the reason so many fans are aggressively following the fashion of Gossip Girl is they really want to see the new trends and they want to be able to inject them into their own wardrobe.
That's what's so inspiring to fans all around the world, because they feel like they too can rock these over-the-top fashions. Big hats, headbands like Blair, a Birkin-inspired bag like Kelly, or that Brooklyn-esque cool dad like Rufus. So there's a fantasy element to all their styles that I think fans can really emulate.
One of the most popular posts that I've done was on Blair's Oscar de la Renta dress, and I think it was over 30,000 views on that post, and I got so much feedback from readers about how much they loved the dress.
Fashion from the show has influenced the fashion world greatly. You're seeing a lot of preppy fashion on the runways at Fashion Week, both in New York and in London.
You can't say that about very many shows, that what they're wearing on the show is influencing what we're seeing on the runways. But I think that Gossip Girl has that effect to some degree, which says a whole lot about Eric Damon and the styling and the cast who wear their clothes really, really well.
Once my eye was open to it on Gossip Girl, my eye was open to it everywhere, and I feel like the blogs are really a great place to sort of go to and see how you can sort of incorporate that in your own life.
It's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it.
I couldn't be more proud of how fashion has kind of represented the show and the way in which legitimate fashion community has kind of embraced the show in a pretty serious way, and the way that fans have embraced it in an aspirational way.
That's why you watch every week, because you want to see sequins during the daytime and the nighttime.
What Eric has done is really created these iconic looks for these characters.
We've had Karl Lagerfeld talking about how Gossip Girl has inspired him, or Tyra Banks telling me how when they have girls come on the show, she tells her people to dress them like Gossip Girl because it's empowering.
I think the most gratifying moment is just to be a part of it and to kind of really feel that I've helped and kind of drive the success, and just to have been a part of this amazing show and this great experience, and to have so much fun and so much freedom to play around with clothes. And as a costume designer, you know, it's hard on television to really be able to take clothing and fashion to this amazing place that I feel like we've kind of created here in this world. And I think, you know, I feel honored and privileged every day just to be a part of it. And I think that's the most amazing part of it for me.